Welcome to Punky's Pro Wrestling. Okay, we have some news about Mike Rotunda. Now, 2 years ago, obviously, he lost his son to COVID because of an underlying heart condition. Now, apparently on September 20th, he had a massive heart attack. This much we know. Now, both Leilani Kai and his brother-in-law, Barry Windham, said he was in hospice. His daughter says he's in rehab. I saw the picture that Leilani Kai posted. It didn't look good, in all honesty. I don't believe two people would make the same mistake. Now, a lot of people are saying that maybe Barry got, hospice and hospital mixed up or something. No. And I don't think Leilani got anything mixed up. Here's what I personally think from personal experience. Now, when you go into rehab after a heart attack, you go into a nursing home type facility for cardiac rehabilitation. Those facilities also have hospice care. Now, they could have, and his daughter Micah says he's in rehab. They could have him in rehab, but set up in such a way that if things are not improving with his heart, that he would be moved from rehab to hospice. He could also be being cared for under hospice. Usually hospice is when you have 6 months or less. Some people do get out of hospice, though. And it is possible that they're hoping with some rehabilitation, his heart will strengthen enough to get out of hospice, if that's the care that he's receiving in the nursing home, which is where they do rehabilitation on an older patient. They send them to a nursing home that's also a rehabilitation center. Unless he was in a rehab hospital, because financially they could do that. He's 67. So chances are rehab means a nursing home for a period of time where they do physical therapy and, the heck. Anyway, so yeah. I think they want a lot of privacy. I heard Barry's response, and Barry was almost in tears. And I saw the picture of Leilani Kai with Mike, and it didn't look good to me. I almost thought he must have had a stroke looking at the picture. It just did not look good. He was in a wheelchair, and his face, it looked like he'd had a stroke. So, no, I don't believe anybody is going to get hospital and hospice mixed up, which is what a lot of Redditors are saying, or mix up rehab and hospice. Somebody on Reddit actually said that they thought hospice was just hospital. Are are you really that ignorant? I was just really surprised to read that. I didn't think anyone was that ignorant. And I'm kind of glad the person is. It means they've never had to deal with the words hospice, comfort care, all of that stuff. It sucks. And I've had to deal with it all. So, let me try to explain some of the differences to you. Just so you can understand. Obviously, hospital is hospital. Hospital and hospice are two different things. Hospice is a type of care, usually given at home or in a hospice, which is a resting place. And it's restful care. It's care given, like I said, in the last 6 months of life, or the supposed last 6 months of life, where they simply give you pain control, meds to control anxiety, keep you basically sleeping, in all honesty. You cannot go to the hospital. If you do, hospice drops you. You pass away, your family waits hours and hours for the hospice nurse to show up to declare. Then you can call the funeral home. If you're at home. It's a little bit different if they're in a facility. If they're in a nursing home under hospice care, or if they're in an actual hospice facility. Most people cannot afford an actual hospice facility, because insurance pays for the actual care, but they do not pay for the room and board. So, it's expensive. Because the day that my mother died, I remember sitting in the kitchen, making calls, doing research online, taking notes, trying to figure out what care I was going to get for her. And she ended up passing away that evening after spending the day dealing with that. Because she had chosen comfort and they wanted to send her to a hospice. Well, they have a section in our hospital that kind of takes care of that. And it was not great. And comfort care is different than hospice. Comfort care is when you've got hours to live, basically, which is what she had. It's when they choose comfort. Just give them pain medication, keep them comfortable, and be with them as they pass. That's what comfort care is. Hospice is similar, but it's a longer term. But it's a longer term in the sense that it's 6 months. Some people have been on hospice for a year, and some people have actually recovered enough to get off hospice, which is a miracle, but it can happen. That's what it is. There's also another term. I can't think of the word right now, but there's another term that's basically code for hospice. What is that other term? Hold on. Hold on. Palliative care. That's the word I was looking for. Then there's palliative care, which is a term most commonly used in cancer treatment, usually. It is a term that means that whatever disease you have, usually cancer, like I said, cannot be cured, but we can treat you to make you comfortable, maybe extend your life. But we're not going to cure you. We're going to treat you for your symptoms that the said disease is causing. That's different. And you can live a long time on palliative care. If it's cancer treatment, for instance, they're giving you radiation treatment to shrink tumors that are never going to go away, but it keeps them from being so big that they cause problems. Whether it be breathing problems or whether it be squishing against your heart or your liver or whatever it is, stuff like that. But they know they're never going to get rid of the tumors completely or the disease completely. That's what palliative care is. And that's the palliative care doctor came to see us when my father was in the hospital. What the hell are you going to do for him? I mean, being a 2-time cancer patient, I know what palliative care is, and I know that there is no palliative care for my father. His heart is failing. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Take care of him. And so he did go to a rehab hospital, but this was a very specific type of rehab. This was let's see if I can say the words. This hospital specialized in the rehabilitation of brain injuries and respiratory rehabilitation, teaching patients how to breathe through their trach without a vent so that they could go home. Things like that. They were going to send my father to a specialized nursing home because of his dementia. He would pull things out. He would do different things. And I remember one day we walked in the room and we're just talking to him, and all of a sudden I look down and his tube from the ventilator to his trach is in my hand. It's not attached. Well, actually, I looked down and I picked it up because something didn't look right. It wasn't attached. I went zooming down that hallway to the front desk and said, he pulled out his trach tube. But yeah, that's not fun. So And he pulled out other things, and including his Foley, which is, for those who don't know, that's the name of the urinary catheter. And I think he gets that name because that's the name of the company that makes them. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. He pulled that out once. So in order to put him in a nursing home that could care for, because they knew he couldn't breathe without the vent. They tried to have him talk, they tried to have him breathe, and he just couldn't do it. So in order to have him in a specialized nursing home that could take care of the vent, but also take care of him being what's the word? I don't want to say tied down, but he had to be put on. That was hard. To watch him have to be restrained to protect him from himself and his own confusion. And so to find a place that could do both was very difficult. Oh, that's the hospital. Excuse me, guys. Okay, I'm back. That was just Gastro making an appointment. For May 20th, 1 o'clock. Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. 1 p.m. Okay. That's such a pain in the... Anyway. As I was saying. So there are different types of care, and it is confusing, and it is hard for a family. Trust me, I know. Dealing with it with my uncle, my mother, my uncle, my father, my mother. My uncle was on hospice, and my aunt called the ambulance, and so they were going to kick him off hospice. He was a very large man, not fat, but he was well over 6 feet tall. He was, well built. He wasn't muscular, but he wasn't really all that fat either. He was just well built, because he was a big man. And rugged. That's what my father would say, rugged. And she couldn't lift him off the floor when he fell. She didn't have a choice. It was either that or call the hospice nurse, who wasn't going to be able to lift him either, and wait hours for her to show up. I've heard so many horror stories about in-home hospice, which I was not capable of doing with my mother. There was just absolutely no way. And I wasn't going to wake up one day with her just dead. No. So... yeah, that wasn't happening. So yeah, there are different kinds of care. My mother had what was called comfort care, which meant that she was just given medications to make her calm and to keep her relaxed so she wasn't struggling, which when I first saw her was not the case, in my opinion. And they gave her some more, and they were very comforting to her. The nurse was with her when she passed, so she wasn't alone. And it was a few hours after I left. This was not great. So I do understand intimately. So, if only one person had said hospice, it could have been misspeaking, but 2 people have said it. So, all we can do is wait and see what happens, what more news comes out, and pray. So, and I will keep him in my prayers, of course. And I ask you to keep my family in your prayers as we say goodbye to a family member on Saturday. So, who we lost to cancer. Cancer sucks. Anyway, trust me, I've been there twice. Lots of surgery, chemotherapy, infections, hospitalizations, and so much more. Fun. Anyway, not really, but anyway, I'm sorry the video was a little bit long, but I wanted to really explain those differences. Hospice, palliative care, comfort care. It's so confusing. It's such a mess. And it was important to me as someone who's been through all the you know, the terminology that, quite frankly, you don't care about when you're losing someone you love. So, the last things that you want to hear. So you'd rather hear it now before you ever need to hear it from a medical professional. So, thank you so much for being here. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will see you next time. I don't know when on this channel. Bye, guys.